What is up, guys? Just another quick update on the stuff so far. So I decided that I wouldn't work on levels today because that is kind of complex. What I really wanted to do today was fix. Honestly, I actually forgot what I was fixing. All I know is that I ended up fixing it by moving all of the movement speed that is dealt with by the player into vectors. Now, vectors are kind of a higher level of math. You only really learn about them in pre-calculus, but they're actually not that hard to understand. So I added a field called velocity to the player. Or sorry, this is screen.h. I wish moving things around wasn't so cumbersome. But you'll notice that I still store the pos, but now I also have a vector called velocity. Now, for those of you that have watched Despicable Me, you know that a vector has both direction and magnitude, which is exactly what it is. So this vector, and it's actually defined in vector.h, which I wrote. It looks exactly like a point, and that's almost what they are, except you consider that to be a line because the origin, in quotes, is actually 0, 0, and you always keep that in mind with vectors. But basically, the I represents the x velocity, and j represents the upwards velocity. So that actually reminded me why I fixed it like I did. The issue was that as you were moving the player, you would have to stop, jump, and then once you're at the peak of your jump, start moving again in order to complete a jump. That's where the velocity comes in, is that I fixed that issue by using the velocity vector, which I will show you now. Just give it a moment to compile. There we go. You'll notice that I added a new debug field to the title of the window called myVector, velocity vector. And when I jump, you'll notice that it becomes negative. But once I'm done with my jump, it eventually starts going back down. So that's how the velocity vector works. So now I can jump and move in the same direction at the same time. It's a little slow right now because I haven't really fine-tuned gravity and velocity to the way I want it, but for now that was really the whole point. Another thing that I added is that it increases the velocity the more you press the key in the direction you want to go. If you pay attention to this part of the vector, this is I. You'll notice that as I'm holding it down, it increases. And that's because it increases by about 1/4 of the player's speed each time. And the same thing almost works with jump. Here's a wonderful demonstration I found on Stack Overflow on how velocity vectors and jumping work. In fact, I'll even provide a link to it in the description because it's fantastic. So this is a demonstration of how this person used. They didn't use vectors, but they used something similar, or rather, they did use a vector. They just didn't call it as such. So this is what I based most of my jumping off of: is that when you click, it jumps, but the longer you click, the higher it'll jump. Much like in Paper Mario, which is why you would often, or not Paper Mario, but in Super Mario, is that if you would hold down the X button for longer, he would jump higher until he hit a peak. Or you could jump as low as you want by letting go of the button quickly. And that's what I based my vectors off, or not my vectors, but my jumping system off. And you can view that in player.c under start jump and end jump. So it checks to see if the velocity is less than half, and if it is, we set it to half, which basically means that if we're halfway through our jump, okay, so when the player lets go and the velocity hasn't increased to its peak jump, it just sets it to halfway and then he starts falling again. So that's how that works. I did a poor explanation, but that's about the best I can give, doing it kind of impromptu here. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. So have a good day.